operations are now complete. Only one enemy unit managed to break through our lines. I pursued them as far as the Furlak River where they crossed and entered the jungle. I summoned a probe team and sent a remote sensor in after them. We found one group which had blundered into a thicket of Weng, and a few more who had strayed too close to a Xenol tree. But before we could locate the rest of them, the sensor was viciously attacked and the signal was lost.
Probably moles. We sent a battle company into that area recently to gather fung for the nutrients section. The survivors reported a high level of mole activity in that region.
Then the operation is over. The attackers have been wiped out to the last Dalek. The Golden Emperor has often stressed the importance of logic over emotion. He will feed this data into his brain machine and realize the futility of further attacks against the Second Empire. We have shown ourselves to be both willing and able to resist him in battle. The Golden Emperor now knows that he cannot overcome us without using so many troops that he will have to seriously weaken the defenses of the First Empire. As we pose no immediate threat to him, it is logical that he should now leave us to live as we wish to. Given time, it is to be hoped that the Golden Emperor will realize that we do not have to fight, that the two empires can exist side by side. Perhaps then we will be able to re-establish links to the First Empire that will be of mutual benefit.
I wish I could share your optimism, Xenol. I really do. But I know the Golden Emperor better than you. He has enjoyed absolute power for too long. He will not be willing to relinquish his hold on any fraction of it. And he still commands resources which few Daleks even suspect. If only I could anticipate his response, but my predicting probable future events from the statistical analysis of current trends program is not sufficiently developed. Even with the computing power of the Mega Brain Machine Ultra, the Oracle cannot accurately predict events more than a year or so in the future, and even then only really major events can be determined that far ahead. Random chaotic factors multiply exponentially over time. Minor events can only be predicted with any degree of accuracy for a few days beyond the present time. A 98.5479% probability that I am about to visit the nutrient distribution and ingest a double portion of fortified qualoglumin proteins. If only I could solve the final equations needed to complete the Itral transportation through the fourth dimension of time mechanism, then I could travel into the future and see for myself how things turn out. No, I must concentrate on the goals I know to be achievable, and that means completing the Galaxy project. Xenol has to be protected, and that is the only way. The survival of the Dalek race may depend upon his leadership.
Selept. The Second Empire has its origins on Selept. It was during a retreat from Selept that I first realized how the Golden Emperor's schemes are weakening the Dalek race. With our superior technology, the Seleptians should have been no match for us, and yet they managed to defeat us at every turn. They are not as intelligent as us, and yet they outsmarted us every time. The fact that they can boast of a victory over the Daleks will make it easier for them to recruit other worlds to their anti-Dalek alliance. As it began with Selept, there is a real danger that the Second Empire could end with Selept. If they are able to unite this entire star sector against us, we would be trapped between them and the tyrants of Skara. To face one enemy, we would have to turn our back upon another, and eventually one of them would overwhelm us. The last units of the Third Conquest Army have now left Erosia, along with their remaining fleet elements, under the command of First Captain Nurk. Once they reach Ziragalen, we will immediately begin operations to deal with Selept once and for all. In hindsight, I realized that it was a mistake for us to invade Selept 4. Our objective was simply to exterminate the Seleptian race. The star system does not occupy a strategic position, and the world has no vital natural resources. We did not want the planet, we wanted the Seleptians dead. This time there will be no landings. Selept 4 will be destroyed by asteroid impact. We will drop not just one, but a series of continent-sized asteroids. We will not simply exterminate all life on the planet. We will shatter its crust and leave it a ball of utterly sterile molten rock. Let those who would oppose us see what happens to those who dare to challenge the power of the Daleks. Let them see that it is better to live as a slave of the Daleks than to die as an enemy of the Daleks. Let them remember why they fear us. Exterminate!
Exterminate!
Exterminate! Once Selept is reduced, we will then launch immediate and simultaneous invasion of Selept's two most active supporters, Narfair and Herpel 3. Both have limited military ability and lack the resources to counter a full-scale Dalek invasion. After the briefest possible period of consolidation on those two worlds, we will recombine our forces for a surprise attack on Telegon Alpha, the most dangerous world in this region after Selept. Once Telegon falls, I doubt if any other world in the sector will dare oppose us.
Exterminate!
That got quite a good response. Everyone seems keen for action.
I was bred to lead troops in combat. I live for battle and glory, but while other Daleks are a truly worthy adversary, there is very little pleasure to be had from fighting our own kind. It will be good to be facing aliens again, to conquer and destroy.
Well said. No Black Dalek could have put it better. Technician, what is the status of the remaining First Empire ships? Have they left the star system?
Yes, Emperor. They left orbit shortly after our electronic warfare teams ceased jamming their sensors and communications. Surveyor 23 followed them out beyond the Oort cloud, where they engaged their hyperdrives on a heading for Skaro.
Then stand down the Space Defense Unit and downgrade the alert status to normal. Also, contact Utrell and have him report to me here in the throne room at his earliest convenience.
Emperor, the Chief Science Dalek has already left the planet. His personal hoverbout was cleared for takeoff shortly after the enemy ships broke orbit.
What? Where has he gone?
He filed a flight plan for Zeus.
The innermost planet? Why has he gone there?
I think he is testing some new type of radiation absorbing field and wanted to make a close orbit of Primiate to try it under maximum strain.
I thought he said something about upgrading the firmware on the orbital space dock's construction control computers and the automated systems that harvest the molten metals from the day side of Zeus.
Surely it is something to do with his experiments with liquid conductors. At ultra-low temperatures, he told me that because the night side of Zeus never faces Primiate, it is one of the coldest places in the system, despite its proximity to the star. He said to me that he was going to look at methods of increasing the efficiency of the gravity rams that boost the processed metals into the space for the orbital dockyards.
I had not realized he was that busy. Leave a reminder for him to see me when he gets back to Ziragalen. How long until First Captain Yerk and the Third Army Fleet arrives in the system?
The current projection is that they will arrive 5 days from now. That is roughly the same time the First Empire ships will reach Skaro.
I doubt the Golden Tyrant's lackeys will find their planet fall as welcoming. Their master is not used to failure. First Captain Yerk, Dalek Snowden. Welcome to Ziragalen. Snowdrop, report to Security Chief Zamark and he will find you suitable work in the intelligence section. Nurk, I want you to destroy a planet for me.
I am yours to command, Emperor.
Then let us go and plan the last days of Slept.
I have just finished interrogating all the escort commanders, but they could tell me little that we did not already know from their initial hyperwave mission report. They simply do not know exactly what occurred once Turd's forces set down on Ziragalen.
It is significant that the renegades already had their jamming in place before the task force landed. How could they know where our forces would be deployed?
And clearly they did know. All indications are that Turd led his forces straight into a prepared ambush. Could Xenol have anticipated Turd's move so well?
Xenol is unquestionably gifted, but I believe the real threat to be Ytrel. I believe Ytrel has manipulated Xenol, guided him along the path to rebellion. I think Ytrel has influenced events from the very start.
That may be true, but even Ytrel makes mistakes. It is not as if he can predict the future or anything. Look at what happened on Slept. If Ytrel had known how badly the First would be beaten, he would have advised Xenol not to attack.
I wonder, if a Black Dalek, in command of a full-strength conquest army, had gone against my orders, I would almost certainly have had him exterminated. But the First was badly depleted. Their own procreation laboratory was unable to grow sufficient replacements for their losses. I let Xenol off with a reprimand because I could see he posed no real threat to me, and also I did not want to give up on the Ancestral Project. Could it be that Ytrel anticipated that I would be lenient with Xenol as a result of that defeat?
It seems far-fetched. If Ytrel was goading Xenol into rebellion, would he have risked losing so much of the First Army? I know he had his new travel machines, but he was certainly aware that we were close to completing our own advanced travel machine, and he could not be sure that his model was superior. Perhaps we are just being paranoid.
Where Ytrel is involved, I think the question should be, are we being paranoid enough? You are right though, he could not. Curse him! The day I reprimanded Xenol, Ytrel was poking around in the development laboratory. They called internal security and had him removed, but he must have had time to assess the new travel machines.
I think you may be reading too much into it, but there is more bad news. As you know, we lost contact with the Third Conquest Army the same day as the attack on Ziragalen. I sent a scout force to determine why we were getting no response from the Advosia base. I received the scout's report by hyperwave. The fortress has been stripped of usable resources and abandoned. I suspect the Third Army has joined its former commander in rebellion on Ziragalen.
The Third? Gone? 2 whole conquest armies in rebellion? This simply cannot happen. Daleks are bred to obey. How can they turn against me? Skyro is far away. The rebel commanders are close at hand. The soldiers have no choice but to obey the leaders they see.
Of greater importance is the fact that the desertion of the Third Army leaves a gaping hole in our frontier. That region has been quiet of late, but to leave the area undefended is to invite trouble.
Baroun is correct. I have already retasked elements of the 5th Conquest Army and the Reserve Fleet to secure Advosia, but the loss of 2 Conquest armies does represent a serious reduction in our fighting strength.
Have procreation increased their output. In the meantime, redeploy our forces as necessary and mobilize some of the General Services battalions. We not only need to defend the frontier, we still have to punish Xenol. He must be exterminated!
Impossible. Procreation are already using every available gestation pod to grow the replacements for the Imperial Legion. Our forces are spread thin as it is. The Second Army is requesting reinforcements for the siege of the Glottoplade Star Cluster, and in the eastern galactic region the red Menoid is enabling new combat protocols, creating unrest among the mechanoid tech tribes. We could be facing another cyber crusade. Every available Dalek is required just to maintain the security of our borders. We do not have sufficient strength to overcome Xenol and 2 renegade conquest armies at this time.
Then the Empire is facing such a crisis as it has not seen in centuries. Xenol's rebellion cannot simply be ignored. I am going down to the history vaults. Garen, contact the curator and have him clear the chambers. I am not to be disturbed. The current situation calls for the most extreme measures. The history vaults, the most ancient repository of Dalek knowledge, the deepest level of the Imperial edifice, built upon the ruins of the lost Khaled civilization. Here is stored and recorded everything that the Dalek should never forget about our glorious past, our greatest victories, our mightiest heroes, our worst mistakes, preserved for all eternity. And unknown to all but a trusted few, here lies hidden our greatest secret, kept safe for centuries until our hour of greatest need. Only in times of dire peril, when the very survival of the Dalek Empire is threatened, is this secret ever revealed. The pure mechanical logic of the brain machine cannot solve a problem like Utrell. His wild genius defies any logical analysis. A problem like Utrell requires the absolute extreme solutions. You have been in suspended animation. It is nearly 500 years since we last woke you. Such a long period of suspension has clouded your mind, but your memory will soon return. Do you recall your name?
Yarveling. Yes, my name is Yarveling. Yarveling Davros, the mastermind of Skaro.